everybody, welcome to Polymer Clay TV. I'm Elisa, and today we have another fun thing to do. It is part of the Tantalizing Textures new subscription that we just released, and this is just part of it. There's two pieces to it. There's these brand new deco discs that are what I used here, and then there's also these 2-inch tiles that fit on an acrylic block, and this is the acrylic block that we have. But you can use any acrylic block. You just got to make sure that they're clean on the back, because if they're not clean, they don't want to stick. So otherwise, they will stick automatically. So that's what these are about. But we're not using those right now. We're going to use the deco discs. I want to show you a neat little trick that works really well and is very easy to do, yet it gives a really beautiful boho look or classy look that you can do with ease. Now, this is also part of what we're going to use here. This is what I cut it out with. I just used a metal scalloped cutter. I used some of these little eyeshadow applicators. Obviously the deco discs. I used black clay. Actually, what I used was scrap clay. And it's a good way to use up scrap clay to get, you can see on the back here, it is scrap clay. So it is a good way to use that stuff up. You know, we find ourselves having a lot of it. And then I'm using, I believe this is the jewel tone one. Mine's a little messed up because I only keep stuff that's messed up. And then this is from the metallic metals, or the miraculous metals. These are really, really pure color and really make a difference in your art. So I've just rolled this out to the thickest setting on my pasta machine. I have my acrylic rod as well as a blade handy. Now, the one tip that I can give you is that with these you sometimes need a release when you're using stamps so that they don't stick to your clay. If your clay is particularly mushy or sticky, you usually need to use a release. However, the mica pigments act as a release, so we don't need to use water as well. So you can use the mica pigments, which we're about to use, as a release agent, basically. So what I did was, normally, you know, you can stamp your design and then highlight the raised area. And that's great. It looks awesome. However, I wanted to have multiple colors on my design. And so by doing that, you know, I was able to achieve those really cool looks, but I had to use something small to do it. I have, you know, big hands or whatever. And a paintbrush, which I tried and is great. You can use it. But to get into the little details, you need something a little smaller. And these seem to work for me. So what I did was I just started kind of going where I wanted to go with it. And if I wanted to go in the middle and make that blue, I come in here and don't be afraid to use a nice amount of it. No matter what, it looks good, to be honest. So I just, you know, kind of rub it around where I want it. And then I just started adding the other colors where I want it. And like I said, you want to be kind of liberal with this because, you know, it's going to go down into the crevices of the stamp. And, you know, this way you want to make sure you have enough. And don't feel like it has to be exact with this, because you really don't. It looks gorgeous no matter what, and nothing really comes out exact anyway. So I'm just adding some colors around here where I want them, where I think it'll look pretty. And then I'm going to come back and kind of add some more colors. So these are 4 tips on them. And so you can just keep adding colors. And these can be washed too, these little applicators. And we will have some in the shop. They're just not in there yet right now. I'll get to it. But you can find applicators as well at other places, like in your health and beauty area. So I'm just adding a little of this purple color that pops. Now, one of the things I tend to do is blow off excess powders when I'm doing something like this. You don't want to do that in this case because you want all your powders to stay intact. So I'm going to finish up here with this green color. And you notice I'm not being very neat about it. And I'm going to use this cookie cutter that's going to pretty much fit around the edge. And that's why I chose the scallop, because that was the one thing that I had that was exactly the size I needed. So, but like I said, you can use anything. You don't even have to cut out the whole design. I often do that where I cut out a portion depending on what, cookie cutter or whatever I'm using. So nothing's rocket science and an absolute with this project, which is nice, especially if you're like me and a bull in a china shop. So I think that looks nice. Maybe let me just add a little more of this blue right around in here, kind of model it. I don't know if you'll even see that. It's kind of light, but break up a little of the orange. Okay, so now we're ready. What I do is I place my clay on top of my stamp and then flip it so that I can then apply pressure. So I like to use my rod, and I do this by going in a circular motion, and that helps me make sure. Plus, you can see through it and see if it's, one area seems a little elevated or not. But, just do it until you feel like you got a nice stamp in there. Now, my trick with this, and this is whether or not you use water or powders to release it or anything else, is I like to go underneath the clay and it pops up on its own. So I don't have to try to finagle it up, and then I just pull back. And see, you see here where there's no mica, it's stuck a little. So just remember that. That's why I say you need some kind of release when it's warm or sticky, although it may not be warm where you are. I'm in Florida. So then I'm just going to kind of place this in the right area. Give myself a little push and a wiggle. And there I have an absolutely gorgeous pendant or something to put on my a box I make or anything I want. I mean, you can even make a cabinet knob or a light switch cover. Anything is possible when you have such cool design. So the very last step is now to add this gorgeous gold, and this really makes it pop. So you have all your underlying colors, and now we're going to add this beautiful gold that's really, really bright, and we're going to gently, we're not looking to cover up the other colors, we're looking to highlight those. So the best way I found to do that is go in a circular motion. And look at how beautiful. Now, if there was anything you didn't like about it or you wanted to add a little more color, that's when you can come back either with your applicator or a brush. Like I noticed here, I kind of would like a little more color right in here. So I can do that as well, with a brush or whatnot. It's completely up to you how you do it. But, I found that for the powders, these little applicators work really well. But, if you want to place it somewhere particular too, a brush works as well. So I would just continue around and fill in any areas that I want. But that's pretty much it. I mean, you can see how gorgeous it is. And I think really the final pop comes from adding the gold. So play around with it, and you'll see that there's so much you can make with this kind of technique, And so just have fun, and you can check these out. I'll put a link below where you can check out the tantalizing textures. And some resin would be gorgeous on that as well.